Welcome to the Recruitment Founders Podcast, the place to kickstart your journey to running a successful recruitment business. In each episode, you'll get knowledge, tips, and real-life stories to help you take your business from startup to whatever you want it to be. At Recruitment Founders Club, we'll show you how to follow a proven path to success, tap into a network of top-notch mentors, and join a community that thrives on collaboration and shared wins. You run the business, and we make sure you succeed.
Okay, welcome to another episode of the Recruitment Founders Podcast, Greg.
Welcome.
How are you feeling?
Start of 2026.
Yeah.
Pretty stoked.
Yeah. New venue today.
New venue, yeah.
Yeah, we're in Greg's man cave.
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about this.
Didn't sign off on this.
On the villa. Like Steve Staunton's in it, that kid.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Shared player.
Yeah,
okay.
I'll put him in there for you.
Okay.
But
you should have mentioned it before we started filming.
Well, it's just...
Anyway.
It's my turf, isn't it?
Yeah,
I do what I want.
Suppose.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, look, 2026, pretty exciting time, I think, for us. We've got a few new people, offerings and stuff to sort of launch and talk about and share with the market over the next quarter. Certainly from my business perspective, we've come into this year pretty strong, no doubt. We'll unpack this with our guests as well, because I think he had a very similar year structure to me last year, where sort of September, October, I went really quite quiet, and suddenly I've come into the new year with quite a touch wood healthy pipeline. So in a good mood, well rested and up for it.
Yeah, and on that, good. Yeah, well rested, ready to get back into it. And we have got a guest today.
We have. And
it's a buzzing guest.
Absolutely buzzing guest, yeah.
And it's one of our RFC founders.
Indeed.
And someone we've both got a bit of history with.
Indeed,
We'll get into that, won't we? Do you want to make the intro?
Yeah, so it's 1.4 Degrees founder, Jon Stanley.
Thanks very much, guys.
Welcome, Jon.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Welcome to the pod.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks for coming. Thanks for taking the time.
I'm humbled to be here, to be honest.
It's great to have you, mate.
Great to have you, mate.
I'm looking forward to it. So.
You're a top guy, and obviously we go back. So I think you two know each other the longest. Do you want to sort of start there? And
I mean, I don't know how long I've known you, but it's been a long time.
Been a few years, mate. Yeah.
I mean, all three of us are cut from the S3 cloth, aren't we?
Yeah.
There's a common theme, isn't there?
Yeah.
I think I was at Huxley when I first met you. You were at Real. I think you were running contracts, or part of contracts under Jason. I think it was
Nottingham, when we met. and then we
commuting
moved
down
to Birmingham. Yeah.
To Birmingham every day.
In a car every day back.
And you did that for years, didn't you?
I did it for a year with Real, and then I left S3 and came back, and the job they offered me was Huxley contract.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And I was doing it again for the best part of 3 years.
Yeah, because the brands were quite interconnected at that point, weren't they? They shared a lot, didn't they? And you came into
I kind of think it was actually punishment for leaving in the first place. So you
it
could
might
be
have
bad for having that.
Yeah, I felt like it was a bit of punishment. Well, working for Steve would be punishment, I suppose. And then you left Birmingham, didn't you? And you had not a secondment, but you had an opportunity, didn't you, in Amsterdam?
I was in Amsterdam for I think 9 years in total. I went in 2016.
Still with S3. Still with S3. Part of setting up a new brand, wasn't it?
Well, it was a really cool business actually. It is a really cool business. But they were kind of like maybe sort of 10, 12 people, 25 grand a week. So it was I think the heavy lifting had already been done.
Yeah.
But that was kind of a scale, sort of job. And that was great. I was supposed to be 2 years in Amsterdam and then go to Chicago, but they sent me out to Chicago in February and it's like minus 17.
Windy city.
Oh man, it was so cold, and I pulled out.
Taps out.
Yeah, I pulled out.
That's not
the
for
temperature.
me.
Yeah.
Well, we had the heaters on full blast in the car on the way down.
I love it warm.
We were both buzzing off how much we love the warm, weren't we?
Funny you mention that. My brother went to Chicago over Christmas, and he tapped out 2 days or 3 days early.
It's like
it just got so cold.
You put your foot out of the door, and it's like your bone freezes straight away. It's horrible. The first time they got me out there, it was like I think it was maybe May, June, and it's just like the best place in the entire town. I was there. The second time was get me back to Amsterdam.
Yeah.
So how long did you do in Amsterdam in total?
9 years, mate. 9 years in total. And I guess probably...
That was successful as well, wasn't it? You did really well over there.
Oh, so do you mean in Amsterdam with S3?
Sorry, S3, the first part S3, it was really good for your career.
Yeah, it was great for my career, and I think the business killed it. we were pretty much doubling year on year in terms of profitability, and they're slamming it now. They're doing so well. I think it was, for me actually, leaving the UK was probably one of the best things I've done for my career. It's kind of like, it's almost like the world opens up to you. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're an island and we've got an island mentality, and we're very, we're proud, and we, know, as soon as you kind of remove yourself from that environment, not there's anything wrong with the environment, for me, it was a career changing kind of move. And I think when I started my own companies, I really wanted to keep that international sort of almost like borderless feel, which so far so good. But it was a really good move, and of course Amsterdam's a great city.
It's wonderful, isn't it? Yeah. For many reasons.
Exactly. I didn't really get into all that kind of stuff, to be fair. But it's like, if you live somewhere, you finish work on a Friday night, you get a takeaway, you sit on the sofa and you watch TV, and all your mates are like, oh God, you're in Amsterdam, God, what are you up to? You must be doing this, blah, blah.
Because you're there, it's
just down the local having a pint with Yoris or whatever, it just becomes your normal life. But I noticed there's so many people coming out to visit you, you're just getting random calls, oh, and then we're going to come out and see you again. So you move back to Nottingham, no one comes to visit me anymore. Do you know what I mean? they weren't coming to see me, were they? They're coming for a holiday in Amsterdam. But no, it was class. It was good, and we still got a house out there and stuff. Yeah, maybe we'll go back one day. But yeah.
So look, one of the reasons we wanted to get you on the pod, as well as you being a great guy, and we wanted you anyway, is that you're really relevant for maybe some of the people that might be listening to this pod.
Okay.
In that you, like Greg and I, left S3 and entered into the world of entrepreneurship, didn't you? So that's really relevant to some people that might be thinking about leaving employment and setting up their own recruitment business. But the Chicago incident at S3 then, was that your exit at that point then? Was that when you...
No, so I put out Chicago, and I was getting itchy. I needed to do something. I've been kind of there sort of 3-4 years, and I needed to do something differently. And I talked to the guys at S3. They were like really accommodating, really great bunch of people. I've got no bad words to say about the business. I think it's great. And they found me another role, which was head of contracts for Real staffing for Europe. But in tandem to that, I was also talking to a few other people. I ended up leaving, going to a company called Opus. I was there for 12 months. Like that was a tough job for me, and I think I probably underestimated what a big job it was. All matrix, no direct team, that kind of influence without control thing. And I think if I'm honest, I did not smash that job. You can look back in retrospect.
Wasn't the right environment by the sound of it, though. Was it?
But it's a great company, really, really, really good company. And if you look at what they're doing now, they've gone through multiple events in the last kind of 2-3 years. A great business, great people. I feel like I didn't pick the role, or the role wasn't the kind of job that I am good at, or maybe I was thinking a little bit above my station at the time. You're coming off the back of a good run. 3-4, you're a bit of a celebrity kind of thing. You're getting the awards and the high fives. You can do anything. Yeah. But then when the reality is, you take yourself out of the environment, which you yourself, from S3, you do become reliant to a certain extent on the things that you've got around you. When you don't have those, it's kind of like a prawn in the frying pan a little bit. Yeah. And you do that with a bigger job, with a bigger market, with restricted covenants, which are really enforced with. I mean, S3 took me to court in the end. I actually had to go to a courtroom and sit there with my old boss to defend my right to, and you've got all that happening. And it was great company, wrong move for me personally. Yeah. So that was a year.
And just on that, before we move on to obviously your ventures since then, do you think that there's some expectation that comes when you leave S3 and go into another employed job? The fact that you have been at a company like S3, because it's got a reputation, hasn't it, of kind of high standards. And
well, if you look around, like everyone's S3, aren't they? Or it seems to be. Maybe that's just my kind of network, like business founders.
Yeah, it feels that way. Yeah.
We've talked about this as well on other episodes where pod, when you actually look, some of the events we've been to, like the recruitment, whatever it's called now, the Expo.
The Expo.
We turn up there and we don't get to see any tech or presentations because it's just like bumping into
just high-fiving everyone, isn't it? Yeah,
absolutely.
Exactly.
But when you actually sort of take a step back, the majority of those people are either at the top table in our business or it is their business.
Yeah, right.
And you know, I think there's the good, the bad, and the ugly of every business and sector. But S3's really develops a lot of high quality talent.
I think I look at like any kind of company that I admire. Not all, but you know, there's a few out there that I kind of follow and stuff. And then you look, he was CF back in, he was, you know, and then I guess it does. It set a level of expectation, but I think I'd left S3 twice. Yeah, twice in total.
Yeah, and
I think every time I struggled. You think second time round, you'd have learned lessons from the first time round. But it was a different environment, different role. Probably I'm going to say too much stretch, if that makes sense. And of course, you're on the back of a great run. You're probably talking quite a good game as well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it's one of them, isn't it? I think I'm probably more getting my head into this now. You know, people say like success isn't linear.
Yeah.
And I could never really believe that, because you know when you're employed, typically, you know, things go in that direction, right?
Yeah.
But having experienced a couple of dips, you do actually come to almost like treasure the things that didn't work out as much as learning experiences and stuff that is, I suppose, it's a bit of a cliche. Yeah, I think you have to. I mean, you're like that anyway, like Mr. like super positive, like Jocks, my house is burning down. Oh wow. Just think about how much you're going to learn by the time this is over.
Think about the insurance job.
You'll be all right. Oh my God, you're so lucky. Just think about the learning experience you get out of this.
Yeah, good one. Yeah, it's right though. Yeah. There's pros and cons to that, by the way.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. Well, we were talking about it before, weren't we? It's like battle scars, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You know,
but they're important. Those battle scars are important, aren't they?
I think they are more so when you're moving or when you are running your own show. I think they probably. I think for me they add more to your toolkit than all of the wins and high fives, and stuff like that. And I think you have to kind of. I think you have to really sort of embrace the pain. I know it sounds a bit of a cliche, but you have to kind of embrace those sort of things, and just know that it's not gonna kill you, and you'll come out the other end of it, and you'll come out the other end of it stronger. And I think I say that and believe it now. I'm running my own businesses, whereas probably when I was employed, I'd say it just because everyone else says it.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And you're not really kind of experiencing it. Anyway, we're going.
But I think in a fast-paced market and job, you can win quickly, but you can lose quickly as well. And then,
cool.
But for me, I've always tried to learn from my mistakes quickly, and you know, never forget them, but move on from them. And I think that's something when you talk about, it's really poignant when you're a company owner, founder.
Yeah.
You've got to have a rounded skill set. You have to have made the mistakes. It's interesting. We get quite a lot of inquiries in RFC, and you know, a lot of them that we actually say, you're not ready.
Yeah, you were talking about.
I had one last night.
You're not ready, and that's not us turning around and saying you're not going to be successful, or it's not us saying you're not a good recruiter. Yeah. But if you haven't done the whole job, right, and also when I talk about the whole job, I mean the client acquisition, I mean the signing up of terms, handling legal or term contractual issues with clients, and you and I have talked about a few of those over the years. If you've not hired people, if you've not fired people, all of that, right? Yeah. It's very difficult to learn that in your own job, in your own company, rather.
Unless, and I think we'll come on to this, unless you've got people around you who you can go to like that to help you with those things, because that
you trust and that you know.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Or who have done that, and I think importantly, who've done it themselves before.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for me. It's kind of like having people around you that you kind of aspire to be to a certain extent. There's something about that person you find aspirational. Also, they've done what you're just about to try and do. And I think that's so important, because everyone wants to give you advice, don't they? I think you need to be careful who's not careful is the wrong word.
Everyone wants to give you an opinion.
Yeah, right. That's yeah, exactly. Right. But that almost becomes overwhelming, isn't it? Because you just get so many. I think you need to be selective about who you go to for what. Yeah. And I think you guys can probably see that.
Well, like you said, they've got to have the credentials. You've got to know and trust that they've been there, done it.
Yeah, I mean, you go and get a personal trainer. You want him or her to be, to be looking good, and you go, okay, that's wrong. And go for a haircut. You want the barber to have a nice day.
Yeah. Not like mine.
I wasn't looking, mate. I did.
Just simple and efficient. It's
not bad. I could do that job. Yeah. Anyway,
we've gone off on
entrepreneurship. Yeah. So, from where Greg and I are sitting, and obviously we're quite close to your business as well, and you're not new to entrepreneurial life because this is your second gig, isn't it?
Yeah.
And from where we're sitting, it's you're kind of tailor made for it. You've really thrived in that environment. Talk us about the transition from being employed and going into the world of.
Yeah, I don't know if I thrive in that kind of. I suppose I do, really, don't I?
I believe you do.
Yeah. No, I guess I do. So I guess so my first business, we actually came up with the idea for it. Well, really high level idea when we're been to a conference in Orlando, in America, obviously. It's 3 of us. We felt like we killed it, through that conference. We were doorstepping people, getting all these meetings that we could never dream of getting. We went down to Miami for a couple of days afterwards, and someone said, why aren't we doing this for ourselves? And this, that kind of like plants the seed.
Yeah.
And the seed never really grew that rapidly from there. And I think the 3 of us, people had personal stuff and blah blah blah. So it didn't really go anywhere. But when that idea is kind of like popped up and it doesn't go away. And then I mentioned I just got back to Amsterdam. I've been on a secondment with Opus in Bristol, which is cool. And one of the 3, I think he started a new role. He was getting a bit frustrated. I was probably realizing that I wasn't succeeding as much as I wanted to and believed I could do. And we almost just kind of snapped at it. And this is in kind of May. This was in around sort of Christmas time, 2019. And we finally started July 2020, which in hindsight was it's not the best timing in the world because we were obviously just in the midst of this COVID thing. And I think someone said at some point, hang on guys, like this is all getting a bit crazy. Should we just put the brakes on? I think someone said it and it was just like, nah, come on, we'll be all right.
Yeah.
And like, it's probably the best. I'm going to say it's the best time I could have ever started a business because you're basically doubling down on everything.
Yeah.
Right. You've left corporate. It's 2 lads, a couple of laptops, kitchen table kind of job. You've got nothing around you. You've got no database. You've got none of the things that you relied on. And you're also in the middle of a global pandemic. Well, let's just get both of them out of the way in the same kind of 6 months. So, and it wasn't like you don't know what to expect when you start. So it's not like it's not bad. It's just you're just in the unexpected kind of zone.
Yeah.
And then it's funny just on that, John. I started day 2.
Is that right?
In September 2019.
Right. So
just as I'm sort of getting going, we entered COVID. And it was funny because like that, I think what you've just said, that period where you're kind of all at sea and it's all new and it's all crazy. And then COVID was happening. Well, everything's just crazy.
Yeah. It's already hard.
It's already hard. And everything's sort of up in the air.
Yeah, but it kind of conditions you to a certain extent, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't realise you were so close to me setting up Hannison Green. Hannison Green was September 2020.
Is that right? So no, we were. Before. I remember because I was. We'd always not stayed in like really close touch, but we'd always like
Yeah, we kept in touch, haven't we?
And we originally started. We were going to do contract business, blah blah blah, and we were signing up clients. We were just getting mullered. Now looking back now, of course we were because there's 2 lads in a LinkedIn recruiter license.
What do you mean mullered?
Any job opportunity. Bang, we get someone else planted CVs on it, or
right, okay.
Or client disappears, blah blah. And I think it was
got old ghosting.
Yeah, or something something last minute happened, and it was one of them for 6 months. It was like bloody hell, is this ever going to really go anywhere? And then of course looking back on that time now, you know, we were trying to break into a contract market. You had big agencies with database full of contractors, all stood down because of, you know, who are you fighting against there kind of thing, you know. And we were trying to go after, you know, the big ticket clients, you know, a couple of big pharma, you know, semiconductor, REIT. It was, you know, you're in a very competitive space with not a lot to compete with apart from, you know, and so then I think we didn't consciously, but finally managed to get a couple of perm deals over the line, and then the customer then came straight back to us and said, look, we need 8 people. We need a team of 8 people. Can you help us?
Oh, you built that perm client, didn't you?
I was straight on the phone to I'd never done perm before. I didn't even know what a retainer was. Like, right, Jocks, I've got a situation. And you, bless him, he you know, taught me through exactly how to pitch it, exactly what, you know, what they were going to be, how to model it. No, I wouldn't do it like this, blah, blah, blah. And we went away and won it. And that I think it started off as 6 roles, turned into about 12 over kind of a 3-month period of time, and then we were kind of cooking.
Yeah, I remember you sent me a brandy.
You got the hoodie, didn't you? Yeah. They were good them as well.
Yeah, I've still got it.
Oh yeah, have you? It worked?
No.
I
have worn it though.
Yeah, they were really good though. We got them from around here actually.
They were good quality.
From somewhere around here to Amsterdam. Well, I say we, my business partner sorted that out.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think that's when I probably started coming to you, not regularly, but I'd be in your ear quite a lot because I didn't know anything about perm recruitment. Like I say, I didn't know. So how do I pitch a retainer? You literally, I think I remember writing it down. I was like, right, this is what Jocks is doing. And then I think from there I was probably a little bit more in your grill a little bit, and you seem to welcome it.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where that's really where this relationship kind of started, really, to be fair. Yeah. And I think you're saying, I mean, when I founded my second business, started trading in my second business.
So this is 1.4 degrees. This is live. Yeah. How long have you been trading now?
So officially, since the end of, well, I'd say it's difficult because there was a transition period from my first business to my second, and the lines get blurred a little bit for me sometimes. But I'd probably say formally June or July last year. So I'm kind of 18 months in. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, 18 months.
Great name, great brand. Do you want to explain the name quickly?
Well, 1.4 degrees. Do you know what? I was watching this a few years ago, watching the Paris Agreement, right? So the global world leaders agree that we're going to try and make sure that the temperature of the Earth doesn't raise by more than 1.4 degrees over the next blah, blah. I thought, well, that's a great name for a business, isn't it? And 1.5 degrees. It's 1.5 degrees.
Yeah, it was 1.5.
Yeah. And of course, go online, all the 1.5 degrees is gone. It's just a 1.4 degrees. I'm like, well, technically it's better than 1.5.
I think it's genius.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I'd love to say that it was like,
but it's 1.5 gone.
Yeah, it's 1.5 gone. I couldn't get it.
But
then you can build a bit of a narrative around it as well, can't you? And that I originally, the idea was that it was going to be a kind of podcast and content platform that we would use to drive traffic and customers to the recruitment company.
Yeah.
And I did one podcast that's so far out of my comfort zone. I recorded one podcast for it, and they still have really good marketing lady called Sinead Dan, who's so talented. She was doing all the cuts and the the edits and content posts and all this kind of stuff. And then it just kind of it just sort of ebbed. But when I decided I was going to go kind of solo, it was sort of there. Does that make sense? Not to sort of plug and play into. So that's 1.4 degrees. And I think when I was contemplating going solo, and we had a few conversations, didn't we? It's like, what do you actually want to do here? And I think probably at the time, I was looking at Jocks lifestyle, thinking, wow, I had a bit of that. It just seems to be like everything seems to be in place, I'm sure it probably wasn't, but that was the impression that I got, and that was what I was kind of aspiring to for a period of time. Just, you got your family, you got your business, you got just everything. And I was that's where I was thinking. But through the conversations, it's like, is that, with respect, is that really going to make me happy? Am I going to really find that? And so I knew that I wanted to scale something, maybe not in a traditional way. It's very, very, very clear that doing that on your own is I already felt lonely. Does that mean I already felt exposed?
Yeah.
And I think it was quite a natural. Yeah, it was just quite a natural thing on the basis that you'd helped us out so much with first business.
Yeah.
To try and kind of extend that on a more like formal basis where everyone's got a bit more skin in the game and stuff, and it's not just a favour from a mate.
Yeah.
So like if I call you, you have to pick up. So yeah, that's that.
That's interesting because I mean we've never talked about this.
No.
So I'll be quite keen to ask you it. Obviously, you've been a very successful recruiter. You've started your own business, and you've then done another one. I'm sure there's people out there wondering, well, why on that second launch have you partnered with an RFC? And I've never, it just happened and it felt natural.
It was very organic, wasn't
right?
it? Yeah,
It felt very organic, and there was no, you didn't enter into a sales funnel or whatever. It wasn't like that. But what was it about our relationship that and RFC's proposition that you sort of that attracted you? And
I think it was like just you talking before, Greg, about like you need to have experienced everything or as much of everything as you can. I think you go through that experience of experiencing everything, and you on the basis that you've got an element of self-reflection, you quickly start to understand what you're good at, what gives you energy, what what you can comfortably say, I've got that under control. But you also become very aware of the bits that you aren't. And I think for me, like if you like the dynamics between you two, I mean, you'll know like there's certain things I'll call Greg about legal contract.
Yeah, I'll get all the sexy stuff done.
Yeah, exactly. Jocks is
you get some retainer stuff as well.
Yeah,
No,
it's a reflection of my own personality.
But it is though, and it's almost like, and it's not kind of prescribed, but it's like, all right, that's a Greg thing now, or this is a Jocks thing, and or this is
sometimes it's both.
This is the collective. Yeah, exactly. And I think for me, it's like I said, it can be a lonely job, running your own gig, particularly if you've got staff, or you've got people whose wages rely on you, or you're investing in something, and there's a bit more on your shoulders than just your own, just your own kind of lifestyle costs.
Yeah. We've talked about this. Selfishly, one of the reasons we set up RFC in the first place was because we were lonely.
I was about to say the exact same thing, and I think a lot of people look at businesses of RFC's ilk and probably are predominantly correct in the sense that, there's a rich party, wealthy party that just wants to use that capital to get wealthier.
Yeah.
And we've never hid behind the fact that RFC isn't a charity, but at the same time, we launched this business because we were a bit lonely. We sort of took solace in each other's experience and were kind of like mentoring each other. And then we were like, well, hang on a minute. There's something here. There's something here. And so that's really where RFC was born. And I think that we still get lonely now, right? And ironically, but it's a lonely job though, John, isn't it? You whether
it can be a lonely job.
It can be the most rewarding, buzzing job in the world. It can also be, when you're a company owner, you and I have got a similar head count in our businesses. There are decisions and instances where you or I have to make the call, and that can be a lonely place.
Yeah.
You can't really go to your team for some outside in on that, and you know, your partner at
Your
home
missus
or your
doesn't
friends.
care.
They'll try and get it.
Missus doesn't care.
They'll
They
try
just
and-
want to know where your deals are going. That's literally all my wife cares about.
Nice deal. Where's your deals? Yeah.
Where's your next one?
But it's true though, isn't it? And you know, ultimately that's I think that's the lonely side of running your own gig. And it's not all bad, but that's something that, you know, I'm really happy to know that that's at least a small gap that RFC's plugged for you.
I think it's even. I mean, we talked a lot back in the year, but you know, you got a hard decision to make. You want to know you're making the right one. You know, and I think having someone that you can go to that's invested to a point, that will challenge you when you need to be challenged, and won't paint it. You know, I mean, Greg, you're great at this. You know, have like, you know, hold the mirror up. You know, and really kind of challenge. Are you doing this for the right reasons? Are you making the right call? Yeah. It's invaluable.
Me and you haven't been without our difficult conversations, have we?
No, 100% not. But then but that's kind of what it's almost what you need. Otherwise, you're flying solo.
Yeah.
And unless you're like, I'm sure there's people out there who have just got it, you know, and they don't need, you know, they don't need anything. Yeah. And I'm sure there are loads of people out there, but that's unfortunately it's not me, you know. And I have got gaps, and you know, I do overthink things. I do avoid difficult decisions and challenging conversations. Now, that can ultimately threaten your business, and you'll be the first one to tell me, Greg, when I'm doing something by nature that probably isn't the best thing for everyone involved, and that's invaluable unless you're that guy or girl who's just got everything, and you know you don't need it. But, you know.
But I mean, we've talked about this as well, John. I mean, we won't get into the weeds of some of the examples you're talking about, but I always say to you, it's so much easier. Someone said something to me, even like my early career, it's easier to mark the exam paper.
Someone else's business.
The exam, that was the phrase. So there's things you come to and say, oh, well, I'm being a bit this or that, or what should I do? And I very easily see it for what it is. And I just go, right, John, here's the mirror. This is, you're not going to like the bluntness, but I know when you're in that moment, the bluntness isn't what you want, but it is what you need. You're a reflective person. You take that away. Whereas I ironically need that myself at times. So it's not like, you know, we're some sort of, you know, all-seeing eye that knows
but isn't it
everything.
I mean,
and we're
so
perfect,
you clean eyes, you're not emotionally attached, you know, as emotionally attached.
Yeah.
There's like, and you can look at things like, I was talking to someone else about this, you know, you're talking to someone who, there's no past, there's no future. You're just in that moment having that conversation with someone that, you know, and they're where really powerful conversations happen. You don't really, you know, you don't care what they think about you. You just got your heart on your sleeve, and you do care. But you know, there's no thing. And I think it's those kind of conversations which, for me, they transcend value, or they transcend monetary value. You know, and as you say, look, I think we've had a few. I couldn't wait. What an idiot! You know, oh yeah, great. A bit it blows over, and you realise that you've just been told to do the right thing. You know, so.
Yeah, it's interesting, and you know, so moving on to talk about what 1.4 looks like as a business, because I think, you know, we talked off camera about this, you know, earlier and previously around where I think collectively, if I'm confident in saying it, collectively see the future of recruitment. You know, people talk about launch your own business and I'm going to go and scale it, and I think there will be opportunities for a 40, 50 headcount plus startup in various pockets. But I think we all sort of collectively believe that really boutique niche businesses are the future. Probable 3 to 15, 20 headcount businesses. And
I don't know if you remember, like, but when I first started at S3, there was this thing, it's just some guy in his bedroom with a phone. You know, when you're up against someone on a job.
Yeah.
And it's just some one-man band in a bedroom.
Yeah.
You'll dust him. But now it seems like the one-man bands in the bedroom is starting to dust the big boys a bit more. Or the big boys, the larger, you know, not in its entirety, but I think you've seen a huge shift
because of the perception of that person sitting in their pants in their bedroom. Yeah, license is completely changed.
It's transformed, isn't it?
Across all areas, from a client perspective, candidate perspective.
Well, go on further. I don't think anybody actually thinks about the fact you're in a bedroom in your boxes anymore.
But was that maybe
because
it's not a factor. It's not a factor.
What it was before, wasn't it?
COVID has fundamentally shifted purchasing appetite.
I remember someone asking me, like, one of my bosses, he was saying, "No, so you're able to transact with like billion turnover companies?" I'm like, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Well, it's not straightforward, but he's like, yeah, and he's still at S3. He couldn't get his head around the fact that everything that they've been told about these big companies won't work with startups, blah blah blah.
But they will.
They will.
Well, they are.
And I believe COVID has been a shift for that, because for me, I ran a business for several years at SME for several years before I launched my own business, and towards the back end of that period, pre-COVID, we were still having difficulty getting in with some really big companies. I don't think we had terms signed with a FTSE at all. We had some
decent clients,
400, 500, 600 million pound turnover businesses in there, but not any FTSE businesses. I've now got 4 people in my business, but 2 of them have joined in the last year.
Mm.
In the first 3 years of me having my company, I had 6 FTSE 100 businesses.
I
had tier 1 agreements with them. That I think is COVID has to be the game changer for that. And I think everybody seeing me work from home, the perception negatively against that has gone.
Mm.
The people just want a service, and I think that's where the market's heading now. And
they want to work with an expert, don't they?
Correct.
It's well networked, well connected, that understands the market.
Yeah.
I do find that there's no limiting beliefs when you're on your own, but when you're in an organisation with people around you, I always tell this story about. So when I was in banking market, right? It was so you don't bother calling Barclays, don't bother calling Lloyds, don't bother calling Tesco Bank. I've told you this one, Every time you get a new starter, right, mate, first just for blah blah blah. By the way, don't bother calling Barclays. They'll never deal with you.
Yeah.
This kid started with me in Birmingham one day, and after about 5 days, he come up to me and says, John, I've got this job on with this guy at Tesco Bank. Oh, I forgot to tell him not to bother to call him. And I didn't have it in my heart to say, oh, you're never going to know. So I let it play through, and I was just dreading it. And he comes back, I've got 3 interviews on this. I'm like, God, when's it going to go? He placed it in 2 weeks. Why? Because I didn't tell him to not bother. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I do find like those like circles of beliefs get bred.
Yeah.
And they become the truth, don't they? They become
and it's not
facts,
consistent. I mean, there's pockets of certainly the market. I mean, certainly UK. I think public sector. That's
of
hard.
Course,
When they're still quite traditional in the way they procure. They're still quite traditional in the way that they perceive your business. But yes, I rarely feel. There's one bid last year we came second on a bid where I know in my heart of hearts they wanted a bigger firm.
Yeah, right.
I know that. I don't necessarily agree with that, but that's whenever you lose in life, you've got an axe to grind with it. But on the balance, I don't find that anybody's really looking at saying, well, unless you're 10, 20, 30, 40 headcount business, we're not going to work with you.
Yeah.
And that's shifted in the last 10 years, because when we had our previous business, I had like 25, 30 headcount, and we were not winning clients because we weren't big enough. In sort of 2016, 2017, there were certain clients we had no way of penetrating because we were not a 50, 100 headcount plus business, global firm, right? That's just gone now. And I actually think the market shifted the other way. There's rate pressure, there's value pressure. I think there's still a massive opportunity to deliver a customer service in that space. And, I'm keen to understand you leading a small headcount business, how you perceive that and whether you agree with that statement or you challenge it.
Look, winning clients is hard, right? But fundamentally, every recruitment company is able to win clients, otherwise you wouldn't have a business, right? So it's like the hardest bit, and I think where I've seen people struggle, is keeping them and scaling them.
Yeah.
Does that mean, I think you can win a client through right place, right time, right CV, right lead, right person. I think it's keeping them and scaling them. That's where you get your real like LTV, lifetime value, right?
And we weren't necessarily taught that at S3. S3 built their business on spot business.
Well,
it changed a little bit at the time.
You two stayed a lot longer at S3 than me, but I've talked about this in a previous episode. I had no networking skills at all when I left S3. Yeah. And I left S3 at a point, I know you ribbed me, but it's relevant. At the point I left S3, I was the top biller. I didn't know how to network. I didn't even understand that was value a skill.
Of it. Yeah.
I was just a great salesman.
Yeah.
I was the sort of monkey they brought into the factory that they turned into there's the phone, keep him well fed, follow the sausage machine, and out the end comes deals, right? And I did it, and I did it well. I went into a market where I'd got no brand name, I'd got no sales machine, and I had to network, and it was like, oh, okay, what do you do? Whereas that now is the market.
Yeah.
That is the market, 100%.
And the sales machines are really struggling to continue to operate.
Yeah. Well, I think I suppose when you, and again, you'd have to talk to a couple of customers, wouldn't you? But I guess when you're talking to a smaller owner-led business, or you should hopefully feel an element of reassurance that your business really matters to that person, and they're going to be overseeing, they're going to be delivering on it. It's not going, down to the graduate research team, with the partner leading the search, and that for me would give me a lot of reassurance. It's like you want to give your business to shop local kind of thing. You go down the corner shop rather than Tesco's if you can, kind of thing. Because that means something. It's the same kind of buyer's mentality, but I think on a more corporate level. I think as well, you've got things like supply diversity. I mean, businesses should be promoting a healthy mix. So not just going with the little ones, but you have some big ones, small ones, you have some green ones, you have some yellow ones. I think that's a big thing. I think that's probably more of a topic, or as much of more of a topic now than it was back in 2015, 2016.
100%. Yeah, the market's fundamentally shifted there, hasn't it?
Yeah. But so go on.
I was just going to say, we're probably going to need to start thinking about wrapping this pod up.
Right.
Honestly, mate, Greg and I, and I'm sure you probably concur, we could talk to you all day long about, right. And there's so much more to talk about with 1.4 degrees, your goals for it, because it is a little bit different to many of our founders that we've talked about, like Greg and I, not so much Greg now. Many people are coming into recruitment entrepreneurship and they just want that lifestyle business where it's just going to be them. And there's absolutely a place for those businesses. I've been running one for 5 years now.
Imagine that.
There's absolutely a place for those businesses. That still falls within the boutique.
Yeah, 100% right.
But you've got a very much a different idea for your business. Would love to get into that, but we've kind of run out of time. Really, I do think we need to wrap it up.
All right.
I think we get you on again as a guest again, and whatever that looks like time wise, where we really get into that.
Yeah, son, I love that.
So I think that's just a really important subject for us to get into that some of our listeners I think would really enjoy and take a lot from. But any final thoughts, putting you on the spot here a little bit, like to wrap up any, on your entrepreneurial journey, it is very different to being employed, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's maybe hit us with like one of the biggest learns that you've...
Do you know what? I just feel like I'm going to start rattling cliches now, like, get comfortable with being really uncomfortable, and that thing about battle scars and stuff. But I think like all of those cliches like that you used to hear, they've now got meaning for me now. Because you've experienced them and you kind of believe them. I know that's like a bit of a like.
Tell you what, then let me finish on a different question then, unless you've got one better. What's the one bit of advice you'd give to somebody with all the experience you've got now of being employed, with a company like S3, and then the 9? How many years have you been an entrepreneur now?
Oh no, 5.
5 years, and everything that you've learned then. What you know now, what's the one piece of advice you'd give somebody who's thinking about setting up?
I just think you've got to run fast at it, and if you run fast at it, and back yourself and believe in yourself, to take on more than you think you can handle, overcommit yourself. Maybe this isn't good advice, actually. Maybe I'm going to blow someone up or something like this, but I think you just got to grab it with 2 hands and go for it, and not let your not let things that set you back actually set you back. You know, see them as steps rather than see them as steps rather than holes.
Great advice.
And I should have prepared an answer because this was the most obvious question that I was ever going to get asked on this podcast. So I should have had something ready to go, but I haven't.
We didn't prep you on it though. You didn't know it was coming.
Also, I think, as we touched on before, like choose the people around you carefully and wisely. And that's not to say that you shouldn't have loads of people around you, but I think like I can't ask more people for help. Does that make sense? So I can't. I don't think you can ever ask enough people for advice and for help. And I think the tendency is to go tunnel vision. But I think having the humility and the kind of self-reflectiveness to be able to reach out to someone and go, look, I'm struggling with this here, or I don't think I can do this. Yeah. You know, and I guess the word is humility. And I think that's really important because you don't have to do it on your own, even if you are a solo entrepreneur. Yeah,
look, great answer, great advice, and look, we're really enjoying being part of your journey. Look, you're a great friend, you're a great business partner, really good guest on the pod as well. Wish we had more time to get into more stuff, but yeah, maybe there's a part 2.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Jon Stanley part 2.
I'd love that.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
It's all right, mate. I'll get my manager to be in touch on the.
We'll contact. We'll be in touch with your agent, mate.
Yeah, thanks. Really enjoyed that. Cheers. Nice. All right, thanks.
Thanks for listening to the Recruitment Founders Podcast. Make sure you subscribe on your favourite podcast platform or YouTube so you never miss an episode. Connect with us on LinkedIn to join our community of founders and mentors, or visit our website to learn more about how we can help you launch, grow, and thrive in your recruitment business.